Jackson takes the snap. He gets away from the pressure, but then Jalen Redmond sacks him at the 15-yard line. Jalen Redmond has 6 sacks this year, and the Minnesota Vikings turn over the New York Giants on downs.
Some music in the air.
Third down, McCarthy, shotgun, back to pass, sidearms over the middle to Jefferson, caught at the 45, turns it up to the 50, in Giants territory to the 46, close to the first down. He barely missed it, but he has run himself into the history books with that reception. Justin Jefferson has the most receptions of any player in the history of the NFL for their first 6 seasons. He just passed Jarvis Landry. At a 3rd and 17. He'll throw left to Jefferson, caught at the 46, and yes, that's a cold-blooded connection. Right hash, left sideline, 22 yards, Brosmer to Justin Jefferson, and a first down. Giants 1 of 2 on 4th down. This is 4th and 3. Dart, shotgun, 2 receivers left and right. Minnesota leads 16-13. Harrison Smith cheats to the line of scrimmage. Now he backs off. Dart on 4th down, back to pass. He's sacked by Andrew Van Ginkel! And the Vikings have turned over the New York Giants on downs. Everybody, good to see you. Hi. Merry Christmas, ladies and gentlemen, from the Wednesday football. What? It's the football feast on Christmas Eve, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for coming out today. Thank you very much. Nick Madden right here with his street team working on Christmas Eve. We got J-Dub, engineer extraordinaire. He's fresh off conductor work yesterday for Trans-Siberian Orchestra. How about that?
Wow.
Silver Bell.
That's impressive.
Drummer boy and all that. Jared Wells, thank you. Alec Lewis from The Athletic, ladies and gentlemen. Nordo from 9 to noon, and I'm Paul Allen. We came bearing gifts. Who wants a shirt? Make a little bit of noise. Oh, man, no. Makes as a team. I mean, it's a non-playoff year, but they've won 3 in a row. All right. Oh, that's a heck of a catch right there, young lady, because 3 drinks were about ready to topple. Yeah, it's the, there you go. Come on back here. There you go, Luke Schwant, touchdown. It's the Wednesday football feast. Vikings play tomorrow on Christmas Day.
Got a hairline fracture on that last throw.
I hope not.
Very, very small, though.
Holy cow. Tanner Morgan, former Golden Gophers quarterback, will be here today at about 11 o'clock.
I thought you were going to say he's playing on Thursday.
Well, that's a possibility for some teams around the NFL. He'll be here at 11. It's a Brosmer game. He's dialed into Max Brosmer and quarterbacks through his quarterback motion Midwest version. McCarthy improvement, Max Brosmer game, stuff like that. What are y'all thinking? Good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of crazy that we're going to get Max Brosmer on Christmas Day at US Bank Stadium against a Lions team that is trying to fight for their playoff lives. Pretty wild. If you'd have told me this was how it was going to play out months ago, I would not have believed you probably at all in the slightest. So definitely been an interesting week from the moment that J.J. McCarthy left the field after the fumble and was checked out on the sideline to yesterday's news that he has, in Kevin O'Connell's words, a very, very small hairline fracture. It's been an interesting one for sure, but Max Brosmer starting the game, I wouldn't be shocked if he plays well against this pass defense that doesn't have a ton of guys in their secondary. So it'll be interesting, in my opinion, at least.
You know, I do as much as I can each and every week, and especially as a 7-win team, to figure out, like, how can I be really, really excited about this game? And I love it when this team wins, regardless of the circumstances.
Same.
But this one is tough. It's Christmas Day. We've been begging for reps for the second-year QB, and it will have, in some ways, potentially, a fourth preseason game vibe to it. but still getting the opportunity now to root for Max Brosmer and see, at least in a vacuum, the opportunity for him to, instead of throwing 4 picks, I mean, what he did at Seattle, oof. The ability to improve on that, maybe throw himself a touchdown.
Yeah.
There are other implications that silver lining season in some respects with a 7-win team. The 27 yards to get to 1,000 for number 18, passing Randy Moss, things like that. It's Christmas Day. It's weird. I'm disappointed I'm not getting to see McCarthy, but I'm still going to have fun with this thing.
Tanner Morgan, about 11 o'clock. He's also an elite bowl game mind. Gophers have a bowl game the day after Christmas. The
Rate Bowl.
The Rate Bowl against New Mexico. Tanner also has done work with Drake Lindsay, quarterback for the Golden Gophers football team. So he'll be here at 11 o'clock. Chad Greenway should be here about 9:20. Chad Greenway, by the way, he mistakenly went to Buffalo Wild Wings Monticello. So he's flying down here right now, but 5-2 radio is right around the corner. Heinze, coach of the Minnesota Wild, John Hines, he's going to call us about 10:45.
That was a tough one last night. I watched the overtime.
Yeah.
What happened?
I really
missed last night.
They had this power play in the third period, and it wasn't great. And I thought I was excited to watch the game, to talk to Heinze.
Hold on. You put in some Wild reps last night for Heinze today?
I was watching. I chose the Wild over the Wolves.
I have the Wild conversation set up for Coach Alec Lewis from The Athletic, theathletic.com. He's the leader of the Matt Boldy fan club.
Yes.
And you would talk about Boldy. Nordo and I would do the next 8 and then call it a segment.
I was going to ask about Ryan Hartman's inability to keep the puck in the zone. I don't know. Whatever you need from me, I'm going to do my best.
Excellent.
Nordo's just cackling.
Heinze about 10:45. After the holiday break, Wild at Winnipeg on Saturday. And tomorrow, 3:30, the Lions and the Minnesota Vikings at US Bank Stadium. It's a Brosmer game. It'll be his second start. Third pressure-filled moment with the Seattle game. Pressure-filled, didn't go the right way. Second half Giants game seemed to look the part. Now we have the Lions game. Why do you call this a 4th preseason game?
Well, it just at the end of this season at this stage, and when we enter the off season this year, the frustration that I have is just due to these injuries with the kid QB and JJ McCarthy, that I feel like the worst case scenario is possible where we enter the off season not either knowing he's so awful he should never start in the NFL again, not knowing, wow, we're absolutely on one. We're kind of living in the middle with him right now. And just as soon as he got healthy, and then he gets the concussion, but now he comes back again. And the 2.5 games that J.J. McCarthy has played, I believe, is terrific resume building and optimism building work that he had done. And to have that taken away with yet another injury and hairline fracture terminology, whatever, we don't know when it happened, what play it was, etc. Just the ambiguity that continues to resurface itself regarding his health, that's just really disappointing to me. So, again, going into tomorrow's game, loving the chance for Max Brosmer, loving the chance, and sadly maybe some side implications of what happens if the Vikings win this game regarding another division rival. But in the end, just disappointed that another opportunity for JJ has been taken away, and for me, the opportunity to evaluate him has been taken away.
Yeah,
and to be able to evaluate him against 2 divisional opponents at home, one on national TV, obviously on Netflix. Nordo's exactly right in that, like, the entire rest of this season, from the point at which the Vikings were eliminated from the playoffs, was to evaluate what this guy is and will be into next season. He mentioned the ambiguity, and that's the thing for me as I cover this thing just objectively on the outside that has been hard to understand. When he tore his meniscus, didn't find out until the following day. High ankle sprain, didn't find out until the following day. The concussion, didn't report the symptoms until the plane afterwards. This one, can't pinpoint when it happened, only told the coaching staff about the hand pain after he walked to the sideline after the fumble. It's like with 4 different injuries that are all very different. The fact that all of them have come after the fact, and there's no obvious line of demarcation of this happened, he had to limp off the field, and then he was hurt. It's just, I don't know if I've covered a player where, like, you've seen this consistently with every injury he's had. It's been interesting, I would say.
Meanwhile, the Minnesota Vikings defense has not allowed a passing touchdown. 6 consecutive games. Can I get a witness?
They've been great.
A raucous round of applause. Now, the Detroit Lions have passing at least one passing touchdown, 21 consecutive games. That goes back to November 24th of last year against the Indianapolis Colts. The Detroit Lions coming in here at 8-7. I mean, all out with all those whiskers to try to make the postseason. If Flores defense pulls off no passing touchdowns against this operation tomorrow, holy cow, just put the check in front of him and let him name the number.
Yeah. I mean, it's what they've done.
That's blank check territory.
Absolutely. What they've done is spectacular, really. And it's been a bunch of.
It's one of the most underrated stories in the entire NFL. In fact, top three. Simply, I mean, you got Ben Johnson with the Bears. We can go back and forth with Jacksonville and stuff. But this is this is embarking on NFL history type stuff. But because it's 7 and 8 terrorism, nobody talks about it or notices it.
I mean, and you think about the offenses they've played. Dak Prescott and that Cowboys offense is incredibly, that's a firepower laden offense. Sam Darnold and the Seahawks, I know there's a lot of opinions about Sam Darnold, but that's been a pretty solid offense all year.
Big time.
Ben Johnson and the Bears, you've seen what they've done recently offensively in the run game and the pass game. So to limit those offenses to no passing touchdowns has been incredibly impressive. And I feel like one of the key aspects of it has been Harrison Smith looks as healthy and as lively and as a part of it and as prideful on the field as anybody. And to get to see that amid a season that obviously started so brutal for him from a personal health standpoint and just the team, like that is one aspect of this that is pretty cool to see the Harrison Smith that we all know and appreciate
during the games. Okay. Now you and I see Harrison in the locker room after games. We see Harrison in the locker room after practices. I mean, 14-year guy, he's getting around a little slowly after giving everything he has in these games, right? I mean, he's just exhausted.
But the other aspect about Harrison that I think should be credited and praised more, he's not on the injury report. This is his 14th season. He had the personal health issue at the beginning of the year. And while a lot of guys are on the injury report for a lot of things, for him to push through everything he's probably playing through still, it's highly impressive. And it's why I think everybody in this audience, everybody driving around listening, probably categorizes him as one of their favorite Vikings players of all time. Special dude, special performer. And it's been pretty cool and fun to watch for me, at least.
Round of applause from afar for Harry the Hitman, ladies and gentlemen. He is Vikings immortality. Man, he looks worn out after these games. Sometimes, though, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, I'd be worn out, too, if I got flagged for sacking a quarterback.
It's like slumped over and everything. Here, it's just...
they still got him mugging and then pulling back 30 yards pre-snap.
I know. He's like moonwalking back super fast.
Hybrid floaters. It's crazy.
The Flores portion of this equation, it's, if we look back at the diabolical nature of what he's done during the 3-game winning streak, but the 6 games without a passing touchdown, I mean, I don't know if Dak Prescott was able to sleep into Monday morning after what Flores put Hitman on with Dak.
Jackson Dart, it was like if you gave a 7-year-old the ACT.
Wow.
I mean, it'd be like the kid would look at the test and be like, what am I supposed to do with this?
They hoisted the white flag on Wednesday when they started practicing by saying, we're running 75% in this game because we don't know where it's coming from and we don't want the rookie kid to get hit.
A cool thing about this game, too, coming up tomorrow, and, quarterback, we focused on that early, is what Flores did to that offense in Detroit earlier this year.
Yeah.
What was it, November 2nd, something like that, where they just identified, okay, Jahmyr Gibbs can kill us when he gets out of the backfield. You know what we're going to do is we're going to push that button with Eric Wilson, get Cashman moving up in there. He won't be able to leave the pocket. And Jared Goff was staring at the ceiling of Ford Field on 5 different occasions. So difficult to do against this Kitties offense, extending this 6 no passing touchdown games streak.
Wow.
But Flores, yes, I mean, just deserves all the credit and praise with not just the hitman, but really the collective effort when you start throwing in the way that he's used other players in this mix throughout this time.
And I've said this many times. they don't have a defensive starter full-time drafted since 2021, before this regime got here. And so, yes, they've hit on certain players in free agency, and they've made it work, but it's not like he's utilizing, and this is no slight, like the most, Seattle Seahawks talent, like efficient operation with elite corners and elite interior defenders besides Jalen Redmond. Like, he's doing this.
So you're saying Fabian Moreau and Jay Ward out there?
And Jay Ward looked good. Like, I will say, Jay Ward was flying around, and I can be positive about a lot of different.
The talker with those two is what he's pulling out of them.
It's true.
Exactly.
It's true. And like Jalen Redmond, I mean, that guy has had an unbelievable season. The linebackers, Cashman and Eric Wilson, they've really been the engine for me that have made it go. But Nordo's right. Like, I'll be interested to see if they just try to spam those blitzes up the middle again on Jared Goff tomorrow. And if they try that, will that work? Wouldn't be surprised if it would. So, I'm any chance at the end of the season to get to watch this defense, you got to take it. You got to appreciate it.
Now, in closing for the first segment, Nordo snipped this out. Packers fans are on our side Christmas Day.
Yeah, that's weird.
I mean, it's if the Vikings can find a way to beat the Detroit Lions as a touchdown underdog, that only helps the Green Bay Covenant when it comes to making the postseason. Unless there's a way we can find a way to win this game. McCarthy, you think McCarthy could play in the Green Bay game?
I'm not going to completely rule it out.
Yeah.
I mean, Kevin O'Connell said yesterday that the recovery is kind of similar to to a bruise, like a bone bruise. So I'm not going to completely rule it out. But, I also think there's part of it where
full week of practice, rhythm and reps.
Yeah. Well, it's just like they want him as engaged as possible. Yeah. And so there's part of it's hard for me to kind of discern. And I would say, like, the reaction he had on the sideline to then turn around a week later and be good to go, like, that would be, I don't know. So we'll see.
How about this sneaky underrated facet with tomorrow? The Lions are 8-7. Vikings are 7-8. Vikings would sweep the Lions for the first time since 2020 if they were able to win.
Wow.
We'd also be giving up the last place schedule.
Yeah.
I mean, being in last place is bad for business. But nevertheless, with it comes a last place schedule next year.
Yeah, weird caveat. So
this is weird.
If the Vikings beat the Lions tomorrow, and then it won't matter what happens week 18. If the Lions lose tomorrow, the Packers are in the playoffs.
It's over?
So that's bittersweet. Yeah, the Lions would have to win out, and the Packers would have to lose out for the Kitties to get in.
Oh, geez.
So that's part one. Second one, you go and beat the Lions, you're feeling good about yourself.
So we can't beat the Lions and beat the Packers and ruin Green Bay season?
No. No, we can't. Yeah, this is a tough situation here.
A bad situation.
So in some way, now, whatever your flavor is, which division rival do you loathe more? I have my personal answer. But then the other end of it is like, hey, you know what? Fourth place schedule next year, Jonathan Gannon, and maybe he's an outwater. Maybe it'll be a different coach of the Cardinals next season. If you beat the Kitties and you find yourself in third place, you might be playing at the Rams.
Third place schedule.
I will say, like, I think it's a winnable game. I would not be surprised, and I might get crucified for saying this, if Max Brosmer plays pretty well and throws the football pretty well against this team. Like, I know
it is a winnable game.
I mean, their pass defense does not blow you away. And then their offensive line is really leaky, whether it's Christian Mahogany or Graham Glasgow or Tate Ratledge, like that group. And then the fact that they don't have Ben Johnson, it's been a massive.
How about their tight end situation?
Oh my gosh! I mean, they got guys I've never heard of.
Well, Shane Zylstra, with all due respect, New London Spicer,
Minnesota.
Yeah, I went to Minnesota State.
He's one of us.
He's their starting tight end. He's never caught a touchdown in his life. And Sam Laporta and Brock Wright are incredibly important to what Jared Goff does. Both dead.
Yeah, I mean, look, look, Max Brosmer. The Seattle game was, it was awful. You felt for him afterwards, but I felt like, last week he looked pretty solid and there was a lot of pressure up the middle with Ryan Kelly not being in the game and Michael Juergens having to step in there. So, it'll be interesting to watch him, at least for me. Like, maybe no one else finds it like fascinating, but I'll be curious to see. I talked to someone who works for the Lions yesterday in the front office, and they're like, we're not taking him lightly. Max Brosmer, I thought was interesting.
That's Alec Lewis from The Athletic. His inclusion 9 to noon is courtesy of Steve's Appliances and stevesappliances.com. Thank you very much for coming out to Buffalo Wild Wings Roseville today, ladies and gentlemen. Merry Christmas. from the Football Feast trio. And when we return, one of the great defensive players in the history of Minnesota Vikings football, Chad Greenway, amplifies the presentation. It's a Christmas Eve feast at Buffalo Wild Wings Roseville. The set list is courtesy of TimberTech and TimberTech.com, and we're back after this. Christmas Eve football feast continues at Buffalo Wild Wings Roseville. Ladies and gentlemen, can we get a witness and a raucous round of applause for Mr. Chad Greenway joining us for the Christmas Eve feast? You made it.
I made it.
You made it.
You know, Monticello is pretty this time of year, though. Drove through,
Yes,
came back down,
listening.
had to run out of, had to stop and get gas.
Yeah.
You know, you kind of walk in today, you can feel the difference between a Wednesday and a Friday.
Oh, no doubt.
A little subdued.
No doubt.
We gotta get pumping some shots or something at the bar. We gotta get things rolling.
Was it nice?
A little more energy.
Was it nice knowing the route to get here to Roseville, given that you drove here a week ago thinking this is where the feast was?
So easy. I didn't even have to didn't have to punch it into the Google map at all.
It was saved.
It was saved. Oh, it was saved. Yeah. Most recent search history. And I wish I could have recorded my audio in my vehicle when I found out I was at the wrong spot.
Mother.
You know, you pull right in here. Mm-hmm. It's right there in front of you to your right. Not a car in the parking lot except for me.
The best.
Took that big turn, looked at my text message and said, okay.
Hey, with the bartenders and servers, tip them graciously today, okay?
Yes.
They're here early on Christmas Eve.
Amen.
Doing a great job, bouncing around for us. Merry Christmas to all of you, so make sure you tip them exponentially today.
Hey, can I steal the show for 1 second?
Whatever you want. Your 2 segments, brother. Courtesy of Grey Duck Vodka.
Wherever
Grey
our
Duck
friend
Spirits.
just had a great point.
Oh, boy.
We got it. No, in all seriousness, Paul Wiggins. We lost Paul Wiggins this week. Wiggin.
Yeah.
Paul Wiggins, sorry. Mm-hmm. Vikings history player, longtime scout, great friend, great
Kansas
man.
City Chiefs and Minnesota Vikings immortality.
One of the best, and lost him this week. So, I just want to make sure I reference that.
Yeah,
Someone told me that he was coaching, I believe, maybe Stanford on the band is on the field play.
Yes.
That is someone told me that, and I was like, the Paul Wiggin that I see every day in the facility was on that.
Super
Crazy.
kind man.
Yeah.
God rest his soul. Now, Blake Cashman is all over you. He's all over you right now. If you're not familiar with what I'm talking about, let me explain.
Nope.
Blake Cashman just had 16 tackles against the New York Giants. All right. Cashman, he has 2 games this year with 16 tackles, one with 15. I think 14 against the Lions. Blake Cashman has 8 games this year in a single season with at least 10 tackles. That ties Chad Greenway's team record for most games in a single season with at least 10 tackles. Cashman has 2 games left to break that record, including one tomorrow at 3:30. Your thoughts?
Records are made to be broken.
Right.
And he has definitely earned that status this year with his activity and how good
How
he's been,
about that
for
with Cashy?
Oh, that's the
and
best.
the gracious nature of 5'2".
Well, I remember talking to Cashman when he was still at the U, and you meet this kid and you're like, you just pray and hope that kids like that can make it and go carve out a career. He goes over to the Jets, kind of finds his way over here, and unbelievable, the way he's been stabilizing force, both backers really, but he's been incredible, and the numbers he's put up, and he's going to have a bunch of opportunities these next 2 weeks to break that record. I have no doubts that he will.
And into the season, if you want to play this game, like what would you say was more least likely to predict? Jalen Redmond has 6 sacks. Or Eric Wilson has 16 tackles for loss. 16 tackles for loss.
Yeah, and how I was so mad. Well, first of all, both sacks that got taken back last week. by these hits on the quarterback.
What would it
when Jackson Dart literally drops his head before contact and runs into Wilson's face mask, and all of a sudden flags everywhere. All of a sudden the laundry's not done, and that's on the field, and we have to deal with this Jackson Dart character, and they're trying to protect him because he's got all these concussions this year. Guess what? That's not our problem. That's a Jackson Dart problem. And stop dropping your helmet onto my helmet, please.
So you were fired up.
Oh my Lord! I mean, how do you even play football? Harrison Smith comes off the edge like. It doesn't make any sense to me in those instances, which clearly a football play, not an egregious hit. It impacts end of game scenarios, impacts the game, drives me crazy because that takes away. Oh, by the way, this guy we're trying to get paid, Mr. Eric Wilson, a sack off of his resume. And that's what I actually hated the most.
Well, secondly, it takes a stat off of the game-calling depth chart for Harrison Smith that PA's been trying to use in a game, I think, all season with the 21 and a half sacks.
That upset me so much
Unreal.
simply because this is cool, man.
Me too.
I'm old school, all right? Old school, best school. If he can get a sack in the next 2 games, then there are 2 players in the history of the NFL, Harrison Smith and Rondé Barber, with at least 38 interceptions and 21 and a half sacks. I think that kind of stuff's cool.
No, Rondé, how many corner blitzes did they send Rondé Barber on? Good Lord. Unbelievable. But you just took that stat away from Harrison, who's, let's be honest, he is Hall of Fame caliber, and those types of stats matter when you lay things out.
See, but Harry has a dark side. Okay, I think you know this, because in the locker room after the game, I walked up to him and said, man, I mean, they pulled that sack from you. That's Rondé Barber immortality. And he stopped. He's all tired and exhausted and everything. He just looks at me and goes, I didn't want it that way.
No.
I'm like, you are so dark. You're darker than me, man, and I'm dark. Holy cow.
I thought you were talking about the fact he texted me asking if I knew somebody that could break some legs and ask for the referee's address. And I'm like, there's that side, too.
Well, they may need that this weekend. We're going to get into it a little more later. I thought we were going to go the entire season without having a game that involves an individual named Trey Blake. All right. But no, he's very much going to be there tomorrow with you.
Oh, boy.
Oh, boy. I wanted to save this until later.
Merry Christmas.
We'll talk more about it later. He's an umpire these days. Why? Because he got demoted. Why do you get demoted? Because you're bad.
I got to find the audio.
So we can get into that a little later. Chad Greenway, Grey Duck Vodka, Grey Duck Spirits.
Do you think final 2 with Harrison Smith, like winding it down, if he knows maybe inside he knows it's the end, and then you have that postseason. Like, what do you think those final 2 games are like for number 2? What were the final couple of games of your career, kind of knowing that you were going to close the shades on it?
Yeah, I think for me personally, it was like we had just had our 4th kid like 2 weeks before this moment. We had about a month left in the season, and like in my mind, it was over. I was already heading down that path, and I was just embracing and enjoying every moment, having the kids at everything I could have them at. Like flying them into road trips, taking the time, soaking it all in, and knowing now, like my youngest 2 kids had no idea that I even played football, and it's even hard to YouTube me now and check that out. But the reality is, I'm putting my highlights in later today. It's just a little Christmas special,
the best
Christmas Eve special. Probably do some like 2012 highlights. Yeah. But it's you think about your career in a different way, and you think about like the struggle and the grind, how hard it is to get there. You make it. You stick for 11. You go the ups and downs, the Dallas Cowboys, pregame bit. Like you mature through this career. You become a captain. Like Harry's been there, done that in every capacity. He's at HOF. He's Ring of Honor, and he's earned every bit of it. And he's changed his game, which I think is the most impressive part. Yeah. Over the course of his career, to just kind of mold himself into what he has to be per coordinator, per system. Yeah. And that's what makes him so special is he's not a one-trick pony. This guy can do everything.
Is it over for sure? Is it?
No.
You know what I'm saying?
No.
Like a month ago, I would have said 90%. He's playing better right now than I think certainly the way he played towards the end of last year.
I think that he's just that kind of guy. He'll probably trick everybody and come back for another one. And go and like make a Pro Bowl or something crazy. That's kind of the stuff he can operate and do. That's just the way he is.
Like he doesn't want to go out. I mean, part of the reason he came back is he loves playing with Brian Flores. So I think that's a big part of his future will be like, what's that situation? Is Flo back? Flo gives him license to pretty much call it on the field a lot of times. And then the other aspect is like, does he feel like the team has a chance to win it? And that's why that's the other aspect of why he came back. And that's what, like I've said many times, you feel for some people through a season like this, and he's one of them who deserves, above all, to be able to get, not beyond the fan base, to get to a certain spot that this team hasn't been able to get.
I think the one factor that I know factored in for me was thinking about that training camp and that off season, and then just the grind it takes. Yeah. The grind is not what it was when Harrison started his career. He's not double days. He's not fully pads. He's not full contact at practice most time. He is. It's still hard. It's still a grind, but it's a different kind of grind, something you can manage. Now, again, you have to look back. His snap count, his body, how it's holding up. He does a great job taking care of his body. His snap count is high. He's there on the field a ton this year.
Yeah.
And he might be over 1,000 snaps this season. If he's not already, he will be probably. So think about doing that at 33 years old. He came in at 23. He's got to be 33, 34, I'm guessing.
They can't take him off the field. That's the one thing over time. And what was it, 22, 23? Flores' first year is kind of I want to take some reps, keep some tread on the tire of number 2-2. That's Flores saying that himself. And we're thinking about, I think at the time you're looking at final year. Would you extend a Cam Bynum? We love what Metellus can do in certain spots. He grinded through his own health issues this year. But then he's still playing 98% of the snaps. Hitman is. Well, you can't take him off the field. That's the problem. And whether it would be from the draft or what you've put around, you can't remove Harrison Smith from this defense and allow it and even ponder or fathom that it will operate in the same capacity.
Yeah, I think not knowing his contract setup, but knowing you come back for a 1-year deal at whatever number, Harry might be like, yeah, I could probably do one more at that number.
Right.
Like, why wouldn't you? And that's the situation where he finds himself. If you're playing 15 snaps a game and they're paying you like you're playing 15 snaps a game, it's different than when you're playing 98% of the game and they're paying you like a starting safety. And that does, at the end of the day, not that it comes down to money, he's made a bunch of it, but also it comes down to making a really good business decision.
Well, yeah, there's part of it too. It's not all about the money for him at this stage, but if they're like, you want to do 1 and 8 again?
Yeah, $8 million.
He said, no, but I'll do 1 for 10. Yeah. He can say that right now. And what are they going to say? No, we'll find somebody that can replace you?
Yeah, okay.
Okay, good luck.
Good luck with that.
Yeah.
Then there's a handshake, and the ink is dotted.
Yep, it's 10. Yeah.
So that's fair. Maybe I'm understating the possibility of him coming back. I've thought over the last 6 weeks, at times kind of ebbing and flowing, some finishing tackles, and I'm starting to say, okay, he kind of looks like a guy that's played 14 years, but with what he's doing, Flores deploying him, the mind games, his positioning is still tops. Elite.
Yeah, and I think he's athletic and fast enough still to rely on his experience that's going to get him to that spot quicker because of just the film, the knowledge, the understanding of a route concept. But now physically he's still good enough to go get it done. And that's the most important thing is they have to rely on him, and they now see, okay, we're not going to end up seeing fully what our quarterback can do these last couple games because of injury. We have a lot of unknowns going into next year. We could solve that problem, again, if he wants to come back. But only he knows that. Only he knows in his mind he wants to go through that grind again.
Yeah, if you'd asked me 5 weeks ago, I would have said no chance.
Right.
And now, just with the way he's played, it's hard for me. I do want to ask Chad, the defense we talked about in the open hasn't given up a passing touchdown in 6 games.
Crazy.
For them to be doing this in a season where it's not going to the postseason, how impressive is that to you?
Well, I looked at it. My first thing was, well, yeah, but if our rush defense is that bad, I'd probably run it too. But then I thought back, said, no, this is my favorite team. And you realize that just in this league with these athletes and players and quarterbacks, how impressive that really is. It's incredible. And it shows how you're playing in the red zone, holding teams to field goals, or if they're getting down there deep, they are running it in on you. But the reality is they're not getting up the long play, not getting up the big play. And in the red zone, right, they're cutting down angles and making plays. It's huge.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Well, but part of it too, just thinking about it specifically in recent weeks. Now you do have the Jackson Darts, but in prime time, your ability to mitigate the CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens, that juggernaut that can be a freight train down in Dallas, and they've been doing it with Jonathan Renard playing on one shoulder. Metellus done for the year, another shoulder-related issue. The revelation that is a Jalen Redmond, the Jay Wards of the world. Really, again, we've been doing a lot of lauding of number 2-2, but really across the board at every level of that defense, you're seeing guys taking that extra step, albeit in a 7-win season.
Yeah, I think when you see the sacks, the Jalen Redmond sacks, they're not extended plays per se, but they're coverage sacks in the sense of he's not beating one move and going and getting downhill and hitting the quarterback. It's like that second hitch, right? He's on his second or third read, covered, sack coming. And I think that's because rush and cover work together.
Well, and
That's
Dallas
the best type of
Turner
defense.
was the one, I think, on Jalen's sack in New York that kind of forced Dart to push up, and then Redmond just doesn't stop.
Again, and Turner, right, gets him off his first read because all of a sudden he feels the pressure. He's got to look. Now his eyes come down. Redmond gets him, and that's a rush and cover deal because if he can get out of his hand really quick, because we're letting guys just run free, it's not going to work for our sacks.
You mentioned the quarterback situation. What was, I guess, going through your mind when you saw that he was hurt again?
I was mostly upset because I wanted to see him get these next two. And I wanted to see in these games where they got to have it and we trying to play wrecker, like how can he play in those moments? And was really looking forward to tomorrow because it's prime time, Christmas Day, everybody's watching, and he gets a chance to rewrite that narrative, quote unquote, that's out there maybe of him, of what do we have? And I think the nation wants to see that. I know we as a fan base wants to see it. And that I was upset. But then at the same time, you start to think about, okay, like injuries have now been a part of his first 2 years. Losing your whole first year, now losing a bunch of starts and really important starts. And I think the guys that are the most upset is leadership. Because now, like, you're not going to have a full deck of cards to go make a decision off of because you just don't know what you have. You have some idea, but you've had some success. You've had a lot of failure. What do we really have? What's the decision we make for going forward? And I'm glad they're not. I mean, I would take their money they're making, but I don't want to make that decision to be the GM.
No,
it's not easy.
That's the way I was thinking about it. A million people will ask whether it's family, friends of like, what are they going to do? It is hard to find the path that is most sensible. Maybe it shouldn't be as hard as it is.
Well, that's why I put it in the open. Sadly, is I'm super disappointed about this because effectively they have 2.5 games to say, yeah, this is good, and this is a platform to build from. Even under the cool, bright lights at Soldier Field, week 1, it's chaotic, it's weird, it's 3/4 of what, and then he comes alive, manufactures 3 TDs, and he's the player of the week. But this 2.5 game stretch just simply isn't enough to truly buy into that or go, whatever the version of all in. I mean, I think there's going to be some veteran presence. There was always going to be some kind of transaction made to have a veteran support spot behind him. But will it be behind him given the short sample size? So it's just it's almost worst case scenario in some ways where you're going in, it's not the worst, it's not the best. I actually don't know what it is, and that's problematic.
With the conversation point about McCarthy when he went down on that sack, all right, we got the finger. Okay, Brosmer came in, nice sideline pass to Jefferson, sold a little hope there, and they won the game. I'm most excited that J.J. McCarthy came out of that hit with still alive.
Yeah.
I mean, that was unbelievable how hard Brian Burns hit him.
Yeah, I felt like it was maybe they should have had a flag on that one, and we should have got 15 yards back in the ball. At least when Brosmer comes in based off that game.
Body weight.
Body weight landed on him.
Yeah.
Did you put your hand down to protect the quarterback?
I will say, even if he dirts that, because that's what look at the replay, it looks like he was trying to get rid of it just before, and he fumbled it because his hand's broken. Very, very small hairline fracture, by the way. But to that end, I think he still gets popped.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think that part changes given the timing of that. Even if he does get it loose, I think that's within the frame. Brian Burns still gets his shot at him.
Yeah, Brian Burns is a creature, huh?
Oh, my goodness.
Bro, he has 15 sacks. Who knew?
Well, the arms coming out of their shoulders. I'm like, how long are his arms?
Guys, that is absurd.
He's playing the 4 for the Timberwolves last night. He had to be out there. It's unbelievable.
That's Chad Greenway. Grey Duck Vodka, Grey Duck Spirits provides us with Chad Greenway. 5-2 Radio continues after this. It's Christmas Eve feasting at Buffalo Wild Wings Roseville on KFAN. Buffalo Wild Wings Roseville for a Christmas Eve feast, you say. A Christmas Eve feast on FM 100.3 KFAN. Chad Greenway is our featured guest for a couple of segments. Alec, with Brian Flores, defensive coordinator for the Vikings, reportedly his deal is up at the end of this year.
That would be correct.
Is there any steam, or have you unveiled anything where it's like they've tried to re-sign him and maybe stiff-arming it right now, thinking about a head coaching job, or from a journalistic standpoint, because you're the journalist of the quartet here? What do you know? What can you share?
Yeah, it's been an interesting one. Brian Flores, with what he's done with the defense from a production-wise, there's no question that he deserves a new contract. He definitely wants to be a head coach again. He hasn't he hasn't hidden he hasn't hid from that. What's the right phrasing to use for that?
You're the journalist.
I know. Yeah. Brian Flores, he wants to be a head coach again. Obviously, he has the legal situation within the NFL, and so we'll see. What I would say is I have no real intel / expectation of what happens here.
Yeah.
It seems pretty clear with what he's done as the defensive coordinator that the Vikings would want him back for what he does for that defense, but we'll just have to see kind of how it plays out.
I kind of want to transition that to a question for you, Chad, is in your career playing for multiple defensive coordinators. Now, I mean, Zimmer was the D coordinator, and George Edwards, I'm sure he was awesome, but It was Zimmer's defense. What is that like when you go through maybe a scheme? Like, I remember just how glaringly things looked different from Donatel to Flores. Certainly, Leslie Frazier is like an HOF human, but you think about some tough years there. Like, it looked different from Frazier's tenure to Zimmer. Like, what is that like at the player level if you have to make those sorts of scheme changes in an offseason?
Yeah, I think when you have that big of a difference, we went from Tomlin to Frazier.
Yeah.
Right? And then you stayed in that Tampa 2 system. It was bend but don't break, sit back in zone, read and react, really good run defense. And then all of a sudden you get Zimmer coming in, which is a completely different system, more aggressive, more blitzy, more pressures, more man-to-man out on the outside, need different corners. So it's a personnel shift and personnel issues, but you're in contracts, right, you can't get out of, right, in that transition phase. I know I was in the middle of my contract, and like they wanted to see something different, and they asked me to take a pay cut, and then all of a sudden it kind of became, could I become something else? I think as a professional, I liked it because I was challenged going to my 9th season. Like, hey, can I do this?
Become what from what?
Well, because I was drafted so I could walk out in the slot, play Tampa 2, jam that slot receiver, fall back into coverage, and just sit in the zone, read and react like Derek Brooks.
Yeah.
Missed that mark. They didn't get the old Derek Brooks, right? But all of a sudden now you're
They
covering.
got a pretty good one.
Yeah, not bad. You're covering man-to-man tight ends, man-to-man backs. You're pressuring. You're making checks at the line of scrimmage. You're double A gap all the time. Where we tried double A gap with Leslie out in Washington playing the Redskins back then. That didn't work out real good. So point being is like you have to ask personnel that have in some cases really experienced to change. And for me, I'm going to take on more one-on-one blocks. I have to shock and shed myself rather than being protected by Kevin Williams. Like, can I adjust and do that? Can I become a good blitzer when my whole career I never was? Didn't blitz at Iowa, didn't blitz my first 8 years. All of a sudden, you become a better blitzer. You become better at getting off a running back or a tight end. You understand leverage and man-to-man defense better. I just think it is a shift. And no matter what happens, B-Flow and what he's done here from a personality standpoint, just because you realize that Harrison's playing because he wants to play for him.
Exactly.
To me, tells the story a little bit, right? Mm-hmm. These guys like to play for him. They're fired up for him. They want to do well for him. And he's done great in different areas throughout his career here. I think I always think about this when you think about head coaches and coordinators. You become a really good coordinator, and then for years, and then you get what? You get a head coaching job. And in most cases, those coordinators want to stay coordinating because that's what they know, they love. They lack trust to give it to somebody else. Talk about George Edwards.
Absolutely.
Zimmer was not going to give that up. And I think in a lot of cases, and you think about it around the league and how these head coaches have been in places for a long time, been successful, to me, the best way to operate that is to be the CEO of the team, right? Let those coordinators work. And I don't know if B-Flow is the guy. He's an incredible coach, obviously, and he did a really good job as a head coach. But is he better as a coordinator? I don't know. But he wants the money, obviously, and I would take that too.
Well, think about the recent hires. I mean, Brian Schottenheimer, Kellen Moore, Liam Cohen, Kevin O'Connell. I mean, it's the hires are of the offensive mind variety. Elite defensive minds, unless I'm missing something obvious here. Jonathan Gannon, I guess, would be one.
Mike McDonald.
Mike McDonald. Yeah. That's another good one. But still, it's most teams, they want to go to the owners of the teams and say, look, we got this. We're going to bring this in. This is going to go up. that leads to more people wanting to come to games and bottom line because offense sells. So I think that plays against Brian too.
I think so too. But when you're putting it, if I'm leading an organization, I want the best leader of men as the head coach, regardless of their X's and O's. Now, you might have gotten that job because you were the lead X's and O's.
Dig it.
But I like the fact that you can manage the football team, the pulse of the team, the culture of the team, manage all these egos that have all these individual selfish wants and needs, and can we make a team out of them? And can we toe the line there? To me, Mike McDonald, the best thing he does is lead his team. I don't care about the X's and O's. They want to play for him. Look what Dan Campbell did. I mean, you want to play for that guy. You love that guy. He's like another father to you, and you want to make him proud. You want to do right by him. That stuff matters to me as a player more than anything you could do X's and O's, is to get those guys to want to play for you every snap, no matter what.
That's why, like with Kevin O'Connell, he was obviously the offensive mind, Sean McVay kind of disciple. But what impressed, I think, has impressed up until this point with Kevin is his ability to kind of galvanize the entire organization internally beyond just the offensive play calling aspect. Like, I think it's interesting to hear you as a former player say that, because you watch the hiring every year and it's like teams just covet the most hot, like, offensive or defensive mind. And then you hear a former player be like, you want the guy you want to play for. It's interesting.
But Alec, we work with media relations closely enough that you know that when they start talking these things out with general managers and owners and stuff, is one thing that comes up is when you put this person in front of the media, subsequently the public,
it matters.
What are the stories going to what's going to resonate with the stories? And with Flores, it will be so-and-so hired Brian Flores as its 18th head coach in the history of the team, we got 2 lawsuits with him and others against the NFL. That's going to be right below the lead.
And the thing with Flores, and it's been documented many times, and former players in Miami have talked about it, like Brian Flores likes to do it the Brian Flores way. He is a New England Patriots, Bill Belichick, disciple. That is who he is. He is the identity that this defense plays with is physicality, violence, aggressiveness. Those are qualities that Brian Flores, breathes into the team. And so, to Chad's point earlier, the question, if you're another owner, is like, is that the guy, as great of a defensive mind as he is and has been, is that the guy we want as the CEO type figure within the organization? That will be kind of a set.
I think the most impressive hires that I've seen these last 4 to 5 years, with the cycle kind of ramping up and changing, is it somebody who changes the culture of the organization? Because when you're making a change, a really important change, you're going to invest a lot of dollars in. Dan Campbell got some heck for his presser, the start of the press conference. But he laid down his foundation in that press conference of how my guys are going to play, and here's how we're going to get it done. And when you have played in the NFL, you automatically get some clout from those players in the locker room, because it is you have to earn it type of league. And if you go out there and you say, hey, this dude played, he's been in the trenches, he's done this. So when he says, guys, I know this is hard in training camp and it's day 25 and you don't hit each other again, I know how hard this is. But believe me, if we do this, we're going to get to where we need to get to. We've been through hard times. We're going to galvanize this and come together. To me, that shifts the culture of the organization to a spot where, hey, this is new. Let's now go get players that identify with that. And you know what? These are really talented players. They don't fit what we want to do. We don't want divas. We don't want these guys that don't think this way. And I think you sort of set a culture, which I think is lost in the world of coaching change shifting so fast. You don't have a chance to build a culture. And of course, I come from a college that has had a coach for 25 years.
Yeah.
But the culture was set right when I got on campus. I think I was his parents' 3rd year. This is how we operate. This is who we recruit. We can win with these guys. And yes, we can get 4 and 5-star recruits, but they don't always move the needle from a make your program better standpoint, because they don't buy into the culture, because it's all about them. And I think that still exists in the NFL world, when guys want to go out and get checks and move on, or they want to stay and build something, be a part of something, play for somebody that motivates them. Mike Tomlin was the best example.
Yeah.
When you come in, I came in 06 to the NFL. I'm like, what is this? I mean, this guy could break you down, build you up, and have you walking through a brick wall all within the same minute. With how he would watch film, say this, make a reference to something, have some quirky quip, and you'd be like, and he's like, and that's why we got you.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, you're right. And like all of a sudden, I'm like, wait, what just happened? I think I got yelled at and like called on the carpet in front of my teammates for not being like good enough. And all of a sudden now I'm the best. And like, they just have a weight about him and he shifts the culture.
And look how much they've won for 2 decades.
Yeah. And that's why he sits down that interview and the Roonies are like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
I met with him. I was with him the night before he left for that interview. And he's like, it's a Rooney rule. I'm gonna go out to get the interview, come back. Never came back.
Right.
Because how do you not hire that guy when he sits down?
Right.
It's impossible.
Well said.
So is it sustainable where the leadership or the culture of the team, because we talk about leadership and things, right? And leaders can it can either be the Tom Brady-esque, most important position, loudest voice in the room. It can also be understated, the linebacker or the defensive lineman, somebody that kind of drives the aura in a locker room. With the Minnesota Vikings, I would have to say in some ways, like, you appreciate Justin Jefferson and those things.
Yeah.
But truly, the cultural leader is actually the head coach, who's not always in that locker room. And you believe under the right circumstances that is sustainable?
Yeah, I think KOC has guys in that locker room that he trusts, that he's meeting with on the side to
like
say,
Brian O'Neill.
How's the locker room?
Yeah.
Brian O'Neill, Blake Cashman, Harrison Smith. These guys that are maybe more understated that are really driving the culture of how people operate. And I always thought it shifted for me like year 5, 6, in that range when all of a sudden you get a second contract and kids that are coming in that are 21, 22, like that I have no like connection to other being teammates with them, are coming to me asking for advice because they're like, hey, this dude's been there. He's done that. He's experienced all this. He's got to a second contract. How do I go get what he has? And if I'm saying, hey, here's how we do it. We show up early. We stay late. We get the extra workouts in. We help our teammates along. Like if you're bringing that culture along with the right guys, the organization wants to keep guys like Blake Cashman and Brian O'Neill for that reason. But also, like, you're bringing the culture along of these young kids that are going to impact your organization long term, who are young and talented, and you have to have help you immediately as a rookie now because you can't let these guys wait.
You know, in closing,
It's a great conversation.
The Lions from the Washington playoff loss last year through right now is such a fascinating dichotomy of empowering others and counting on them. Ben Johnson, Aaron Glenn, 3 other coaches at least that they lost, 2 left. Because in that Washington game, okay, the Lions were super banged up into the year last year. Well, they're super banged up right now. And it was worse last year, but they found a way to win that Week 18 game and get the 1 seed, get the time off. What happens during the time off? Office doors closed. People talking to agents talking to teams about what's coming up next. Look what we're doing here. That's a distraction. It absolutely happened, and those coaches left and they missed them. So now they move into this year, and they have a new defensive coordinator, new offensive coordinator, John Morton. Well, that was such a bad hire that Dan Campbell stripped the man of his play calling after the Vikings beat him November 2nd. Campbell took the play. He calls the games now. They never run trick plays. They're down their tight ends, and they miss their tight ends, but so much has changed. You got the same CEO, and you have the same employees, but those underneath the CEO, you know, with the coaches and stuff like that, there is some form of a disconnect here that has them at 8-7, and that plays into the culture you're talking about.
And I think Dan Campbell now can't be that CEO, that risk taker, that 4th down guy.
Right.
He's trying to make the next play call. All of a sudden, he's not talking to the guy, the risk assessment.
They never
guy,
run trick plays anymore.
right? He's not talking to that guy in between, snap counts or when the OC is making a play call. Hey, what do you see next? What do you think here? Give me 4th and 2 from the 48. What do the percentages tell us? You're running out of time because you're thinking about the next play call. You know what? Hey, you know what? It's 4th and 2. We're punting. Get rid of the ball. Let's go lean on our defense. I just don't. He can't be the same guy he was with the staff that left. Yeah. And now, and look at the impact. What have the Bears done? Obviously, with that OC, he's clearly special. He has a bunch of talent there too, which helps.
Yeah.
But the point is Campbell can't be that same guy. He can't be that culture driver. He's wearing too many hats.
I have a quick little trivia thing for you that I don't want to leave on the preparation cutting room floor. Your first road game in 2007 was at Ford Field. All right, so Chad Greenway's first game was at home against Atlanta. They beat the Falcons. First road game, Ford Field, week number 2. Vikings lose in overtime, 20-17. Amazingly, 2 of the most reliable kickers in the last 20 to 25 years, Jason Hansen and Ryan Longwell, they each missed game-winning kicks with less than a minute to go.
Wow.
Hansen missed from like 48, Longwell from 52. You go to overtime, Hansen walks off. There were 4 quarterbacks who played in that game, 2 for each team. Can you name them? 07 Vikings and Lions, your first road game. Your quarterback almost went the distance, got hurt late, backup came in. Their quarterback, same thing. He got into the second half, but then the backup had to come in.
07. T-Jack?
That was your starter, Tavares Jackson.
Bollinger or Holcomb?
Bollinger came in very late.
Okay.
What about the Lions?
Kelly Holcomb was on that.
Who'd they start? Who'd the Lions start?
Not Sean Hill.
Nope.
He came in?
Nope.
God, what's his name?
John
John Kitna.
And
Kitna could sling that thing, man.
yeah, well, I mean, he got knocked out. JT O'Sullivan came in.
JT O'Sullivan.
4 quarter. Okay, now
SQB school.
Hey, let's go back to the beginning of that. And we lost.
I'm gonna tell you that. I'm gonna tell you this right now. That I will give you $100, and you don't have to give me anything if you can name the 2 running backs the Detroit Lions used that day.
07.
This is unbelievable. I mean, I think I've heard of one of them.
I don't know.
No shot.
I was going to guess.
shot.
Well, I was going to guess. I think it's Kevin Smith. Didn't they have a Kevin
No.
Smith?
No, that was
ago?
No, that would have been a good guess.
That'd have been the next couple of years.
Tatum Bell and Brian Calhoun.
Oh, Calhoun from Wisconsin.
Yeah, who the heck are those guys, man?
Calhoun
Tatum
from Wisconsin.
Where did Tatum
Tatum
come from?
Bell, though.
That's familiar.
I'm going to say Oklahoma State.
I know.
Yeah.
Hey, Merry Christmas to you and your family.
Merry Christmas.
Jack
Thanks for having
Greenway,
me.
how about that? 5-2 Radio. Cassie trying to run him down. That's Jack Greenway weekly, 9 to noon at the Friday Football Feast. We're a week from Friday. We're at Buffalo Wild Wings Egan. That'll be our final feast for the season. We head into the second hour with a fantasy football twist when we return to Buffalo Wild Wings Roseville at FM 100.3 KFAN.